Hello everyone, welcome to Think Global Education Services SAT Math class. Now guys, the topic for today that we'll be discussing is linear equations. Okay. Now this is, what do we understand with linear equations? The equation where the degree of the polynomial is 1, that's linear equation. So if I say y is equal to mx plus c, that's what we did in coordinate geometry. So that's also called a linear equation because the degree of the polynomial is 1 here. So the very basic equation is linear equations. Now everyone is already aware how do we solve a linear equation. We will understand in this class that what types of linear equations are tested and what are the questions that you need to deal in your SAT. So let's start. So the very basic idea behind linear equations, that is, equation is in one unknown. So sometimes I just need one variable to solve a particular equation. So there are two types of questions that we'll be discussing. The first is equation in one unknown. So what you need to do here is you have to read the problem carefully and assign a variable to the unknown quantity. So, let's say X or let's say Y. So you will assign a variable to a given unknown. Then what you'll do? Form a mathematical equation. Now that's a very important step. You have to read the problem carefully and make a mathematical equation out of it. The very basic algebra that we solve. And the third step will be to solve the equation. What do? You isolate the variable on one side and the remaining values on the other side. So these are the very basic steps to solve any particular equation. You assign a variable, you form a mathematical equation, and then you isolate the variable on one side and the remaining values on other side, and hence you get the value for that variable. So let's see few examples and try to understand how do we actually solve a linear equation. So here it's a very easy example, very basic one. It says 15 years later Harry's age will be thrice of his age 5 years ago. So they have actually given me the condition here. They are asking me find Harry's present age. So let's say Harry's present age. That's an unknown here. So I'll say Harry's present age. Let's say I give a variable. Let's say X. Now common sense, guys. 15 years later. If I'm talking about 15 years later, Harry's age will actually be X plus 15. And similarly, if I say 5 years ago, 5 years ago, Harry's present age is X. So 5 years ago, his age will be X minus 5. So according to the conditions, I have made some relationship. Now they are saying that 15 years later, Harry's age will be thrice of his age 5 years ago. So they have given me a relationship. They are saying 15 years later, Harry's age will actually be thrice of his age 5 years ago, which is X minus 5. So see, from here, I formed a mathematical equation and there is only one variable in this equation. So I'll isolate that variable. So it will be 15 plus X is equal to 3 times X minus 3 to 5, that's 15. So here I'll isolate X on one side, 15 on other side. So it will be 15 plus 15 is equal to 3X minus X. That will be 2X on this side and this will be 30. So X will come out to be 30 by 2, that is 15. So you see, you assign a variable to the unknown quantity, form the mathematical equation and isolate it on one side and you solve for that missing variable. There's very basic idea behind solving any particular linear equation. So I hope this question is clear. Now let's take another example where we have two unknowns. So an equation may have one unknown. So I can solve a question by just using one variable. But sometimes I really need two variables to solve an equation. And if I have two variables, I have to make two equations out of it. Because to solve for a particular variable, we need one equation. So if we want to solve for two unknowns, we have to figure out two equations. So let's see this example. It says a store sells pens for $5 each and pencils for $4 each. So I know the cost of pens and I know the cost of each pencil. If John buys a total of 10 pens and pencils for $44, so I know the total cost. How many pens did he buy? So let's assign some variables. Let's say number of pens that he buy is, I can say, let's say X, and let's say the number of pencils that he buy, let's say Y. So the question says if John buys a total of 10 pens and pencils, so I know the first mathematical equation is X plus Y is equal to 10. That's the first equation. And the second equation can be developed from the cost, because I know he spent $44 and I know the cost of each pen as well as pencil. So I can say the cost of each pen, which is 5, multiply with the number of pens, which is X, will give me the total cost of pen, plus the price for each pencil is 4 multiplied with the number of pencils, that's is Y. So I'll get the cost of pencils, and the total cost of pens plus pencils is actually 44. So that's equation number 2. So you see, I have two variables, I have two equations, I can solve both the equations. Now you can solve it in whichever way you want. You can solve it by replacing the values, or you can directly add or subtract. If I multiply my equation number first with, let's say, 4, so I'll have 4x plus 4y is equal to 40, and the second equation is 5x plus 4y is equal to 44. So what I can do, I can directly subtract both the equations. 4x minus 5x will be minus x, plus 4y minus 4y will cancel out, and this will be my 40 minus 44, that's minus 4, minus minus gone, x comes out to be 4. So how many pens did he buy? I was looking for x, so I figure out x from here. So again, so sometimes you just need one variable, but sometimes you need two variables. So one equation I'll form from the number, and the other equation I'll form from the cost. So for two variables, I need two equations. I'll solve both of these equations for the desired variable and I'll get my answer. So these are the basic two types of questions that you should be aware of in your SAT. Basic unknown in one variable, or there are two unknowns. So let's take couple of examples, couple of questions to relate. Now this question is again based on one variable only. If you read the question carefully, it says the taxi fare for the first 2 miles is $5. Okay, so it's straight $5 for the first 2 miles, and for each additional mile the fare is increased by $2. For additional mile I'll keep on paying him $2 more for whatever additional mile I'll go. What is the taxi fare for the journey of n miles in dollars? Okay, so see, for first 2 miles, so the fare is straight for first 2 miles, the fare is straight $5. Then for every mile that I'll go forward, I have to pay him $2 each for every mile. Now the total journey is for n miles. So if I say how many more miles I need to cover, because I have already covered 2 miles, so the more miles I have to cover is n minus 2. Because my journey is for n miles, I have already covered 2 miles. So how many more miles I need to cover? N minus 2. And for every mile that I'll cover, I will pay him $2 for every mile. Plus I have already paid him $5 in the beginning. So this is the total money that I'll pay. This is the total money that I'll pay to the cab driver. So twice into n, that's 2n minus 4 plus 5. So that will come out to be 2n minus 1. So you realize I have to solve the question accordingly. In terms of n, I have to give my answer. So that's 2n minus 1. Sorry, that's 2n plus 1. So my answer would be A. Minus 4 plus 5, that's plus 1. So you see, you just have to, in one variable only the job is done, that is n. And I have to give my answer in terms of n only. So I'll just read the question carefully, make a mathematical equation out of it. So that was a quite easy one, but let's try a slightly trickier question or a difficult question where there are two variables. A store currently charges the same price for each candy box that it sells. If the current price of each candy box were to be increased by 1, 6 fewer of the candy boxes could be bought for $180, excluding sale tax. What is the current price of each candy box? Now that's a pretty, it's a quite tricky question. So let's start with assuming the variables and then we'll work with the problem. So let's say the price for each candy box. So I'm assuming the price for each candy box is, let's say, X dollars. And the number of candy boxes I bought, let's say number of candy boxes that I bought is, let's say, Y. Now, do you realize I have $180 with me? So the basic scenario is price multiplied with the number will actually give me the total money that I have, which is $180. So the price of each candy box is X, multiplied with the number of candy boxes that I bought is Y. So I know price times the number of candy boxes will give me the total money that I have. That's equation number 1. X into Y becomes 180. Now, the second equation will be found in the information given to me here. So what I did, now I am trying to change the scenario. If the current price of each candy box were to be increased by 1, so the new price, so basically I can say this is the current price. But what I'm doing with this current price, I'm increasing this current price by 1. So the new price will become X plus 1. I've increased the price by $1. So the new price is X by 1. Now, when I do that, 6 fewer of the candy boxes could be bought. So the number of candy box that I can bought now, or I can buy now, the number of candy box now which can be bought, it decreased by 6. So previously I was able to buy Y candy boxes, but now I am only able to buy Y minus 6 for the same money that I have, that is $180. So do you realize again, the new price multiply with the number of candy boxes that I can buy will again give me the total money that I have. That's $180. So do you realize I have made two equations here, which is xy is equal to 180 and x plus 1 times y minus 6 is equal to 180. Now I have to solve equation 1 and 2. Solve equation 1 and 2 to figure out the value of the current price, which is actually x. So I have to figure out the value of x. So now let's try to solve these equations. So guys, if I solve, so I know this is also equal to 180, this is also equal to 180. So I'll just equate them. So xy will again be equal to x plus 1 times y minus 6. So when I solve this, xy is equal to xy minus 6x plus y minus 6. So xy and xy will get cancelled out. Eventually I'll get an easier equation, which is minus 6x plus y is equal to 6. So I got this equation. Now this equation, so I'm solving it here. Now I know that xy is equal to 180. From there I can say that y is equal to 180 over x. And I can replace this y in this particular equation. So I can replace this y here. That will make minus 6x plus 180 over x is equal to 6. Now I'll form a quadratic equation from here. So in the, though it's a question on linear equations, but eventually when I solve it, I will form a quadratic equation. So that's why it's a slightly difficult question. So if I take an LCM, it will be minus 6x square plus 180 over x is equal to 6. And then it will be minus 6x square plus 180 is equal to 6x. So now when I take everything on one side, I get a quadratic equation that is 6x square. So I'm taking this on the right, 6x square plus 6x minus 180 is equal to 0. So that's a quadratic equation I formed. Now, so to solve this, so I believe everyone is clear till this quadratic equation. Now I really don't need all of this. So I have a quadratic equation which I need to solve. So I'll solve this quadratic equation and figure out the value of x. The quadratic equation is 6x square plus 6x minus 180 is equal to 0. So first of all, I'll divide the entire equation with 6. X square plus x minus 30 is equal to 0. Now, to do the middle term splitting, that's how we solve a quadratic equation. We do the middle term splitting here. So the product has to be 30, negative 30, and the sum has to be plus 1. So that will be x square plus 6x minus 5x. So 6 into negative 5 is minus 30, and 6 minus 5 is plus 1. Now I'll take x common from the first two terms, will be x plus 6. I'll take minus 5 common from the second two terms, it will be again x plus 6. That's a very basic way to solve a quadratic equation by doing the middle term splitting. So I get x minus 5 and x plus 6 is equal to 0. From here, either x minus 5 is equal to 0 or x plus 6 is equal to 0. So that will give me x is equal to 5 or x is equal to minus 6. But since x represents the price cannot be negative. So this is not possible. The only possible value of x is 5, which is option number B. So this is a pretty difficult question and an interesting one. You have to solve those two equations any which way and figure out the value of x. Now there are different ways of solving it. I have first equated them and then replaced the value. So there are a lot of other ways also. You can directly replace the value, but I first equated them because that generated a slightly easier equation and then I replaced it. So I'll get the value of x as 5. That's one way of doing it. But guys, in our SAT, we should always be aware that the options are already there in front of me. So I can always leverage the fact that the options are already present. So let's try to see another approach to solve equation like this. So here we'll take the advantage of the options. So I'm writing the options here: A, B, C, and D. So it says $4, it says $5, it says $6, and it says $30. Now, what is the current price of each candy box? That's the question. So do you realize these options actually represents the current price, right? One of these options would be correct. That's what I'm looking for. So I directly made an assumption and realized the question. Let's say the current price is $4. So I'll assume the answer is $4 and try to cross check the question. So try to cross check the condition in the question. Cross check the condition. So I know I have $180 with me. So guys, if I have $180 with me and the price of each candy is 4, so how many candies I will be able to buy? That is 180 by 4. That's 45 candies, right? Now the condition says if the current price is increased by 1. So if I increase this price by 1, the new price will become 5. And if the new price becomes 5, how many candies now I will be able to buy? 180 by 5. That is 36. So do you realize if the price is actually increased by $1, I will be able to buy 9 less candies. Previously, I was able to buy 45, but now I'm only able to buy 36. So I'm able to buy 9 less candies, but the question says that 6 fewer candies have to be bought. So they realize A cannot be my answer. But now let's go for B. Let's say, for example, I assume that the current price is $5. So I know if the current price is 5, I will be able to buy 180 over 5, that is 36 candy boxes. But if the price is increased by 1, so if I say the new price is increased by 1, or the current price is increased by 1, so it has become 6 now. If the current price is 6, I still have $180 with me. So 180 by 6, I will be able to buy only 30 candy boxes. Now, if I notice, previously I was able to buy 36 candy boxes, but now I am able to buy 30 candy boxes, which is definitely 6 less. And that's what I was looking for, which perfectly matches the condition that if the current price is increased by 1, 6 fewer candy boxes could be bought. So my answer has to be B, because there cannot be more than one correct answer. So I really don't need to check C and D. I'll check B and I'll stop. So that's another way to do a question in linear equations. You can always cross check the condition. So what I did, I just plug in the values of the options, and I believe it is much more quick than if I would have solved the equation. So understand this, guys, in our SAT, there is no right or wrong way of doing things. It's just that you have to be smart, and sometimes you have to use the leverage that the options are already there. Out of these 4 options, one has to be correct. So I start plugging in, and if you find making equations more complicated, you can always plug in the values and check the condition. So I hope this thought process is also clear. Okay. Now, there are a couple of things that you need to understand when we deal with linear equations. Let's move forward and try to relate those 3 things which we need to know. Now, whenever we talk about linear equations, there are 3 types of solution that a linear equation follows. Now, a linear equation, whenever we try to draw a linear equation on the graph, we always get a straight line. We always get a straight line. Now, that's why I told you that y is equal to mx plus c is also a linear equation, which is nothing but an equation of a line. So we have done coordinates. So in coordinate, you know that this is also a line. So whenever we try to draw a linear equation on the graph, we always get a straight line. Now, system of equation. Now, there are 3 types of system that are possible. So you realize 2 lines. Let's say this is one line, and let's say there is another line. So do you realize 2 lines will always intersect at one point, right? They cannot intersect at more than one point. So 2 lines can intersect at only one point, and that's called the solution. So if you solve both the lines, you'll get the solution. Or you can say the point of intersection. So point of intersection is nothing but the solution of both the lines. Point of intersection. So when we say unique solution, so this is a unique solution because there is only one possible solution. So whenever 2 lines intersect, we always get one solution, or I can say unique solution. This is first scenario. And here you have to understand, in a unique solution, both the lines will definitely have different slope. So guys, if you have not watched the video of coordinate, first of all, you have to watch the video for coordinate, and then you'll understand what is slope and what is equation of a line. Since we have already covered coordinate, we have to watch the video for coordinate. So different slope, and they will definitely have different y-intercept. So you'll have different slope and different y-intercept if you have a unique solution. So that's the condition that you have to remember. Different slope, different y-intercept, you'll always have a unique solution. These lines will intersect at one particular point. Now, Let's take a question on this and understand how do the question appears when they say unique solution. So you see, there are two linear equations given to me. They are saying that if the system of linear equation has a unique solution, so I know that these system or these lines will definitely have a solution, or I can say will definitely have a real solution for sure, because the question already mentioned that they have a unique solution. So I can directly solve these two equations and generate a solution. Let's see what happens. The first equation is 3x plus 2y. I'll take 7 on other side. So 3x plus 2y is 7. The second equation is 18x minus by is equal to 3. So now to solve the equation, because I can see 18x here, I can see 3x, so I can multiply the first equation with 6. So what I'll get 6 into 3, that's 18x plus 2 into 6, that's 12y is equal to 7 into 6, 42. So that will be the equation. And the second equation is 18x minus by is equal to 3. So I can solve this now. So what I can do, I can just directly add them up. So, or I can directly subtract them up. So I'll change the sign. So 18x minus 18x will be gone. So it will become 12 plus b into y is equal to 42 minus 3, that's 39. So do you realize from here y will actually come out to be 39 over 12 plus b. Now that's the solution. So I've solved the equation. So this value is definitely a real value because the question says that they have a solution and I figured out a solution. Now if I read the question, which of the following cannot be the value of b? So do you realize if I want this to be a real value, if b becomes minus 12, the denominator will become 0. And if the denominator becomes 0, it will become undefined, which is not possible. So my answer is actually A. Which of the following cannot be the value of b? B could be anything apart from negative 12. So b cannot be negative 12. Because if b becomes negative 12, the denominator will be 0 and it will not be a real value, which will break the condition in the question. So it has to have a solution, in fact, a real solution. So the only possible is if b is not equal to 0, or if the denominator is not equal to 0, that means b cannot be equal to 12. Mind it, they are asking me cannot be. So this is how a question on unique solution might appear. So you should know when I say unique solution, it means they will definitely have a solution. So guys, let's try another scenario. Case 2, which says no solution. That means a linear equation may have no solution. In that case, we realize if I say this is the first line, if they do not have any solution, that means they do not intersect. And if they do not intersect, what does this mean? That means the lines are parallel. So if they do not intersect, that means the lines are parallel. So in that case, it will have no solution. Now, I know we have already done in coordinate. If two lines are parallel, they will always have same slope. The slope will always be same. And the y-intercept will be different. So it will have same slope and the y-intercept would be different. So that's the point you need to know when you say no solution. So the basic idea is if they say no solution, that means the lines are parallel. And if the lines are parallel, that means their slope is same. So let's see how we can use this in a question. So guys, again, we have two equations. If the system of equation above where m is a constant, x and y are the variables, for what values of m will the system of equations have no solution? So if this system of equations have no solutions, that means their slope would be equal. So let me try to convert this equation into the standard form. So when I say the first equation is mx plus 6y is equal to 25, I can write them in the form of y is equal to mx plus c, which is the standard form, and m represents the slope. So in this case, I can say 6y is equal to minus mx plus 25. That will make y is equal to minus m over 6 times x plus 25 over 6. So from this equation, I can clearly see that this behaves as a slope, coefficient of x. This is the slope of the first line. Now let's take the second line, which is 2x plus 12y is equal to 10. Now here I'll convert it to the standard form. 12y is equal to minus 2x plus 10, and y will come out to be minus 2 over 12 into x plus 10 by 12. Now from the second equation, I know the coefficient of x is this, which is the slope of the second line. Now, because I want them to have no solutions, that means their slope has to be equal. So I can directly equate both of these slopes, and I can say minus m over 6 will always be equal to minus 2 over 12. So minus minus gone. M will come out to be 6 into 2 over 12, which is 12 over 12, which is nothing but 1. So from here, I equated both the slopes because I know in the case of no solutions, these slopes will always be equal. And from there, I get the value of m, which is 1. So I hope, guys, this question is clear. You understand what do we mean when we say no solutions? No solution means the line are parallel. Okay. Now, guys, let's move on to the last case, which is the third case in the case of solutions of line, which says infinite solutions. This is a very interesting case. So when I say infinite solution, that means the line overlap. So for example, if I say this is the first line, and if I say the second line overlaps the first line. So what I'm trying to do is this red line actually overlaps the black line, and then you realize every point that is there on the red will always be there on the black also. So that's why they have infinite solutions. Okay. So if I give you an example for a line which are infinite. So let's say a line is x plus 2y is equal to 6. So that's a random line. And if I take another equation, let's say 2x plus 4y is equal to 12. So are these two distinct equations? No, not really. These two are identical lines. Identical lines. If you notice carefully, I have just multiplied the first equation with 2 and generated the second equation. So if you focus on the slope and y-intercept of both the lines, it will be same. So from the first equation, I can say 2y is equal to minus x plus 6. So y will be minus half x plus 6 by 2. So here I can see the slope is half and the y-intercept is 3. So slope is minus 1 by 2. And this constant, that is y-intercept, is 6 by 2, which is 3. Similarly, if I take the second line, so I can just convert it into the standard form. So I can say 4y is equal to minus 2x plus 12. So from here, y will be minus 2 by 4, x plus 12 by 4. So realize here also the slope is minus 2 by 4, that's minus half only. And the y-intercept is 12 by 4, which is 3. So that means if I try to draw both the equations on a graph, they will actually come out to be the same lines. So in this particular case, they have infinite solution. So practically I can say infinite solution means what? The lines are same. So here they will always have same slope and they always have same y-intercept. So I can say practically they are nothing but same lines. So let's understand how do we solve a question for that. So they are actually the same lines but written in a different form. So in this particular case, there are two equations. They are saying in the system of equations above, P and R are constants. Okay. If the system has infinitely many solutions, so they are telling me that they have infinitely many solutions. That means they are practically the same lines. So both the lines are same. So do you realize here, if I want them to compare, so I can say Px plus Ry is equal to 20. But I can multiply this equation with 2 and I can directly compare the coefficients because the line is exactly the same. So I can say it is 6x. So I can say it is 6x plus 6 into 2, 12y is equal to 10 into 2, 20. So do you realize because they are practically the same lines, so I can directly figure out here that the value of P is nothing but 6, value of R is nothing but 12. So I can directly compare. So I can say P is equal to 6 and R is equal to 12. That's what they are asking me. What's the value of P and what's the value of R? And then in the third part, they are asking me what's the value of P by R. So P by R is nothing but 6 by 12. That is 1 by 2. So I hope you understand these three system of solutions. I'll quickly just recap it. So understand it through lines, guys. If two lines intersect, it's called a unique solution. And in a unique solution, they will definitely have different slope and they will have different y-intercept. Two lines can also run parallel to each other, which is a scenario of no solutions because they will never meet. So in the case of no solutions, because the lines are parallel, they will have same slope, but they will have different y-intercepts because they are going from different positions. And the third part is they could be infinite solutions. So there is one line and the second line actually overlaps the first line. So that's called infinite solutions. Infinite solutions, they are practically the same line, so they will definitely have same slope and they will definitely have same y-intercept. So I can say practically they are nothing but the same lines. So I hope these three system of solutions are clear. And apart from these three system of solutions, you have basic linear equations where you can solve them for one variable, or there's a question where you need two variables to solve it. So guys, this is the basic idea behind linear equations. You need to practice a lot of questions to be good at it. So that's it from this video. I hope you learned something new today. So guys, have a good day. Bye bye.